Okay, let's take a, have a bit of a look at this engine. Apparently it was uh, oil production started in 1967 at Barrow Island, and these engines were used to pump the oil out of the ground. Someone on Facebook said there might have been about 50 of them. I thought that sounds probably about right. And this one's simply called an oil well engine. It had several other names prior to that, Whitty or something, and Arrow was another brand. It might have been part of this company, I'm not sure. Anyway, they were renowned to go for like 20 years, these things, before needing a rebuild, possibly anyway, if looked after. And the fact is they probably could, because these ones have got oil pumps on them like a car, a gear one inside there. The oil level down there. So the oil is pumped around these engines to all the bearings and so forth, and up here to the rockers, and had an oil pressure gauge, which is also an electrical device on it, so that if there wasn't enough pressure, it either turned the motor off or it would let someone know. Governor and throttle all connected here, and to adjust that speed you would adjust that, and that would change the angle. And does have electric start, but it's also capable of having a pull start, a crank start, sorry. And at the moment the decompression lever is engaged up there. You can see there's nothing. Take that off, and straight away I'm stuck there in the compression mode. So there's the spark plug, there's the coil. Now it's a very strange coil setup. I really don't know how this works. Out of the magneto come only these two wires straight into this. It looks like a coil, but how the timing is created, I really don't know. A bit beyond me. But there are no points inside this. I've had the cover off and there's no points. But one of the things it does do is when you turn it, you can hear that clicking. It briefly spins it up faster than what you're turning it. So if it, like that click, that creates the momentum to make a spark. So at low cranking speeds it can run and start up. And that goes away as soon as it does start. A few revs and that cuts out. And what else can I tell you? Other sounds. Oh yeah, by the way, although that clicks every top dead center, it only sparks every second. How it does that, I really don't know. And under this cap here, there's a one-way valve holding right behind my finger. That lets the air out, but not back in. And you can hear that chuffing away as well when it runs. That's it there. So, yeah, it keeps a partial vacuum in the sump, which is a good thing. I think it's a good idea. And if there were any oil leaks on the outside, it would tend to pull the oil back in. And that's its. There's got to be a filter. When I took this off, there was no filter in there, and the sludge was just horrible. What stage that had been removed, I don't know. Hopefully by the previous owner. Perhaps he tried to get a filter for it and then just gave up. I don't know. So this doesn't have to be on here, the starter motor, but it damn well works great for me right now, as I don't have any pull start. Takes all the effort out. Obviously it's a lawnmower fuel tank. Super Trap muffler from America. I'd bought some other engine previously, so I've you know, it's all just on there loose really. Now the carburetor had on here used to use LP gas. It had a little top up on the side. You put petrol in for initial start up, but it was to run on LP gas, because that didn't cost anything, peanuts to run in America. So you can see there, this carburetor here, it's for a grey Fergie tractor. the TED-20, I think. It's just a cheap replacement, but it's got adjustable idle and main jet, so depending on what fuel you're using, give it a quick twiddle. And the plate I made up for it to adapt, and also linked up to the throttle under here. See it all there, and it works fine. The reason I picked that carburetor for one was because it's a vertical flow carburetor, but also because the TE20 or TED-20 whatever, 20 horsepower, and this one's rated for 20 horsepower, and so I figured I'm not going to need anything bigger than that. Mostly I'll just be going slow with it, just a little bit of playing with the throttle, that's all. Now this is the water, obviously. The piece that was on here held a lot more water, and it had a radiator on top, but all that was pretty crap condition. Bolts were breaking off everywhere. I decided, nah, all that had to go. Water had damaged it all. I just want to get this back to a basic stationary engine running setup. That's it. Also, these ones here have a sleeve in them. It can be replaced. It's not like the cylinder's bored out. It is replaceable. And when I went to lift this thing, quickly learned it weighs 1 ton, which is quite a lot. So I made this frame here, this jig, whatever, and just drops in, puts together in 2 minutes, and this is able to lift it so that I can get it into a trailer. My trailer is only just big enough really to carry this. There was a bigger engine, weighed 2 tons, but my trailer wasn't legally allowed to carry it, and neither was my car allowed to tow it. So I figured this one was the better looking engine, this will do. So I never did get the other one, somebody else bought that. That was a 42 horsepower, the other one, with an 8-inch bore in it, 8 by 8. This one's 6 1/4, I think, by 8-inch long stroke. So it's plenty big enough anyway. So okay, what else can I say? It's very quiet as well. You think it might be noisy because it's 4.2 litre engine. Around about, that's about 250 cubic inch about. So yeah, it could do with a clean up and a paint job and all of that, but primarily I just wanted to get it running at this stage. So all I've got to do is arc the relay to join those two. So I just got to hit the positive there and it'll fire up. So anyway, the previous owner said he got it from, I think he said it came down from Geraldton, but it's initially from Barrow Island. He bought it from Geraldton. I think he said he had it brought down on a truck anyway. But yeah, it's the only one I've ever seen myself, but it's all based on the old design of stationary engines. Just this magneto is a bit odd. But it works brilliant. After all these years, I haven't had to do any repairs to that at all. They just worked as soon as I got it, and this has been sitting under cover, but not in a shed. It was just under a roof cover, that was all. So okay, I'll start this thing up. Decompression, this one, I've got to be able to hold this one, so I'll put this down. Hopefully you'll be in the zone. obviously the water drain, which is only loose at the moment, so it's leaking a bit. It takes ages for this to warm up at all. Do with another little hood on the top, like what stationary engines usually have, just so that when they shake and rattle, you can hold more water in, it doesn't spill. At this stage I'm not bothered about that. I'm just glad it's up and running perfectly. Get a little throttle. Found the idle screws seems to work best at about half a turn, and the main jet one about a full turn. You sort of tinker around with the screwdriver with that, depending on what your fuel blend is. I actually initially started it up on alcohol, methanol, brought it to life. It kind of would look good actually to have a plate on here, a see-through plate, so you can see all the big end and everything swinging around, but if it got oil on it, perhaps you wouldn't see through it though. If I take this off, it's a bit hot at the moment. See, it's not very loud at all. Very quiet running engine. When I finish, turn the fuel off. I don't actually have an ignition switch to turn off. I've only got that. I'll put your hand over the intake, I suppose, and choke it, but otherwise just hit the decompression lever. It's amazing how slow it can run. Now smooth, no heat there at all yet. Lovely engine, I reckon. The spark plug in this thing has three, I don't know, terminals or something on it. The central electrode one, and there's three around it. Most reliable, strongest looking spark plug setup I've ever seen. Obviously they don't want them to foul up. But then they didn't anyway, I guess, because they ran on LP gas. Yeah, so they just ran and ran and ran. They drove a gearbox, and that swung the jacks, go up and down, pump jack, backwards and forwards, pulling the oil up out of the ground. And all that stuff was connected on here, a clutch and pulleys, and I've still got all that. I just wanted that off, just for now. I want to just keep it as simple as I could. Can go even slower than this, but eventually this ratchet thing might start kicking back in again. I usually find as you turn the fuel off, that slows down in the end, comes to a complete stop. So that's what we'll do. You can hear the one-way valve going in here. Fill up. Yeah, so this must have run back in the 1970s and 80s maybe, Barrow Island, just off the northwest coast of Australia. So they struck oil. Now I think it's all gas up there. Running a little bit dry on fuel now, a bit leaner and leaner. weaker and weaker. So I think it's RPM. I still do have the plate. Came off while I was getting all this off. Accidentally broke off. It's 20 horsepower at 750 RPM. There you have it. How nice is that? And I paid $500 for that. And then I tried to get the second one. I gave him the deposit and I gave up trying to transport the other one. So it cost me a bit over, just over $1,000, but to me it's still well and truly worth it. Easy. I thought it was just awesome. There was very little work just to get it to run and be reliable. With pulleys and everything, this could drive a generator. You know. Anyway, thanks for watching.